Hey everybody, so this happened. I'm reading a book about health and nutrition and the impact that the food we eat has on our body. And I'm so interested in the book that as I'm reading it, I don't take my eyes off it while I'm walking into the kitchen to get an ice cream out of the freezer. So I'm reading about health and nutrition, not even thinking about the fact that I'm gobbling down a chocolate fudge-filled drumstick ice cream. How does that happen? Well, I thought about it, and I think what happens is sometimes we can be passionate about something. If there is a book about healthy, regenerative food, nutrition, and how it fuels us and how important it is to us, I probably have it and I've probably read it. I spend hours in a garden trying to grow healthy, fresh, nutritionally dense food. So why, as I'm even reading one of these books, am I reaching in to grab an ice cream? Why am I having chocolate for breakfast more often than I care to admit? Well, like I said, I was thinking about it, and I think what happens is we can be passionate about something and we can study something, but if there's a disconnect between that passion, and it's not intentional, it's just even in our minds, there's a disconnect between something we're passionate about and how we conduct our day-to-day lives. And I think even it happens if we consider ourselves a person of faith. We can say we believe something, we can talk the talk, we can be involved in the conversation and be passionate, but it doesn't always translate into maybe how we live on Tuesday. So why is that disconnect? Well, I think what happens is the connection has to be intentional. And I'm here to talk to you about making that passion and that connection to how you design, how you interact with your clients, what your philosophy is in design, making that connection and how that is going to fuel and empower and attract for you as a designer. So the first thing we have to do is we have to figure out, what are we passionate about? And that's not always an easy thing to answer for yourself. Sometimes you just have to ask the question and just be aware for a while. It took me a while to discover the things that really motivated me. I was a kitchen and bath designer for 20 years that never cooked. I designed kitchens from Canada to the Cayman Islands, and I didn't cook. I understood the principles of function and where things needed to be and how much storage we needed, but I was working long hours and coming home late at night, and I just didn't cook. There came a point in my life where I discovered a passion for food and a passion for cooking, and now my garden or my kitchen is my favorite place to be, and I love experimenting with new recipes, but that took a long time to happen for me. So the more you can be aware, what fuels you, what gets you excited. I read one time that you're in the zone when you completely lose track of time. So if you're doing something and you just don't want to be bothered and you've completely lost track of time, that's a really good indication that you found your zone. So be aware, just be on the lookout, be open to new things that might fuel you. For some designers, it might be sustainability. You might really be passionate about sustainable materials and where did this material come from and how is it sourced and what does it do to the home environment that I'm putting this in my client's home. For me, when I left the industry for just a brief period of time and came back, I was really excited to hear about biophilic design because it took a lot of the things that I believed in, it gave it a definition. It might be mental health. So I and a lot of designers believe that we do what we do because where you live and the environment that you live in, and whether it inspires or comforts you or invigorates you or whatever, affects your mental health. How many of us are living in dreary spaces that we hate, and what is that doing to our mental health and how we show up to the world? For some, it's historic preservation. I've worked with builders and contractors and architects who really care and are passionate about historically accurate details and restoring those pieces of history to what they really were originally. Global influences. That might be something that just fires you up and you love to travel, or you would love the opportunity to travel and bring those global influences into the home. Universal design. This is something I love and I would love to get even more involved with. I went to a training once for universal design, and the trainer, I just thought of it as ADA and grab bars and making sure you had the right turnaround circumference if somebody was in a wheelchair, all important things. But to me, in my mind, that was universal design until I went to this training years ago. And the presenter, she said that she used to have her mom come visit her, and her mom was ultimately in a walker. And so she had a hard time navigating stairs and that kind of thing, getting in and out of the tub by herself. And after staying with her for a while, her mother came to her and she said, I think I want to go home. And her daughter was a little bit hurt, like she wanted to have her mom there and she didn't understand why she would want to leave and go home. But in her home, she had like a sunken living room, she had stairs, she had narrow doorways. And so when her mom came to her, I guess her mom just had one level. She didn't have all these obstacles to deal with. And she said, I'm not handicapped when I'm at home. And man, did that ever stick with me, that if you could remove the barriers that someone faces, regardless of their age, whether they're a young child, whether they're an adult, whether they're someone with mobility issues or sight issues or hearing issues or mental issues, or whether they're a senior and they're just having some mobility issues, whatever it is, if you can design a space that eliminates those obstacles, are they really impaired? Are they really handicapped then? That's an intriguing idea. It's a passion. It's something you could get really passionate about. Healthy cooking. I love cooking. The more challenging the recipe is, the more steps there are, the more I love it, because it just means I get to have my hands in it a little bit longer and I really get to pour my heart into it. Healthy cooking. Where does the food come from? How do you source it? How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep it as nutritional as possible? And then how do you combine those flavors? How do you make it so tasty that you're not reaching for the fat and the salt and the sugar, that you're just enjoying all those flavors of the fresh food? Wellness is a big, big thing. We have done so much damage to our bodies with the food that we eat that people are starting to realize, I need to be better to my body. And that starts in your home. It starts in your kitchen. It starts in your bathroom. People are thinking about spas and wellness. Quality materials. I know plenty of designers, and I'll say to a large extent, I'm one of them. Quality matters. I said this in a previous video, I believe so much in giving our clients a quality product that while I want to be respectful of budget, there's a level of product, a level of workmanship that I just won't advocate for, because it's not going to last, it's going to fail, you're going to have issues, and ultimately it's going to be a problem. So quality, and then quality goes all the way to the other end of the scale. I often would have this conversation with my clients, a Honda is going to get you to the grocery store or the dry cleaners just as well as a Porsche. But it matters to us. Different things matter to different people, and the quality and the luxury and how buttery the leather is, or the graining on the wood on the dashboard, that matters. So that takes me to luxury. I say all the time, I've designed mid-range to luxury kitchens for the last 26 years, and there you have to figure out the priority, but luxury, something that's sumptuous, something that's comforting, sometimes quality. And then also sustainability and where it came from, those all speak to luxury. My point in going over all of those and giving you those examples is to just help start spurring some thought processes. Did any of those things start to create some excitement? As you were listening to some of those ideas, did anything go, yeah, that really matters to me. So if it did, that might be something that you want to explore and look into more. Here's why that matters. It doesn't have to be a big grand idea. It doesn't have to be a big, statement. You don't have to define your whole design career or your life around it. But if it matters to you, it should creep into your design philosophy. It's that difference between something just being a passion and that connection to who you are and what you do day to day. So I believe that when you're a young designer starting out, and it's not just that I believe this, I've experienced this. When you're a young designer starting out, you don't get to handpick what projects you work on and what ones you don't. You're really kind of just taking any project you can get. So you're just following the client's lead. You don't necessarily always have the opportunity to inject your passions and your beliefs. But I do believe, legitimately, some of the most successful designers have at some point, somewhere along the way, began to define and identify and resonate with things that they were passionate about, and it begins to creep into their design philosophy. And whenever you're passionate about something, it creates a vibration. So I heard one time that belief has a sound, and I really believe that when you light up about something, when you're passionate about something, it's contagious, and your clients, the right clients, the ones that are meant to, will resonate with that, and it creates this attraction. And I was thinking about this the other day. So I was with a design firm in the Dallas Design District, beautiful firm, well respected, one of the top firms in the city. And when I first started working there, I had come from not that environment, and I was intimidated. I thought, I don't know that I have what it takes. I was intimidated by the wealth of some of the clients. I was intimidated by the quality and the level of some of the products. And I had a little bit of that imposter syndrome. And sometimes when I heard the front doorbell ring in the showroom and it was my day to greet the client, there was these butterflies in my stomach, like, am I gonna have what it takes? And then one day I realized, I know what I'm talking about. I love what I do. I know the answer. So I knew that no matter what that client was looking for, no matter what they needed, I knew I had the experience and the knowledge, and whatever I didn't maybe specifically know, I knew I could find out. And I knew that because of all of that, I could help them. And all of a sudden, my whole mindset just shifted. And I became, for at least 3 or 4 years, I don't remember exactly, I think it was 4, but I became one of the top sales designers in that firm. And now everybody was great, and it was just by a margin, but I did have the top sales for a while. And was it because I was a more talented designer? No, for sure not. Was it because I had more experience? Not entirely. I had more experience than some and less than others. Was it because I was such an amazing salesperson? Definitely not. Like I said, I was intimidated. Most of the time I had butterflies. Most of the time I didn't know what I was going to say. When I would take sales training, I hated it. I hated all kinds of sales training. It sounded goofy and cheesy to me. But I still was successful, and I really believe it's because I found what I believed in, the products and the materials and the design philosophies that matter to me. I knew why they mattered to me, and I was able to speak with so much conviction that many of my clients would tell me that the reason they bought from me, or the reason they did their project with me, is because they trusted me, because they believed that I believed what I was saying, and that I believed in what I was saying. Here's the thing. If you don't have a philosophy, if you don't have a passion, then if it's just about numbers and selling a project and chasing the latest trends and making sure that you have the trendiest products or getting a great portfolio shot, I will tell you from experience, about 10, 12 years into my career, at one point I distinctly remember counting, I had 16 active design projects that I was working on. Some of them were in the beginning phases of just discussing and developing the design program. Some of them we were at the end, we were at punch list, we were in installation, but I had 16 projects. Most of them full remodels, either kitchens or baths or laundry rooms or a whole house. And in a design industry, and you're as a designer, you're constantly being asked for creative ideas. You're constantly being asked to come up with something new, to design and to create. And I liken it to being like a sponge. So you're always being squeezed. You're always being asked to produce that creativity. And eventually, if you're not doing anything to fuel it, I went through a period of such terrible burnout. I began to hate what I did. I didn't look forward to going to work. I didn't look forward to getting a new client or a new project. I just felt like a sponge that had been completely wrung out. There was no joy in it for me anymore. And I realized it's because I was constantly giving that passion and that creativity, but I was not getting it from anywhere. I wasn't being intentional about fueling that passion because I didn't have a perspective. I didn't have a design philosophy. I didn't have anything that fueled me and powered me. So I totally burned out. And for me at that time, I just had to start giving myself the things that made me happy. So I started following some Instagram accounts and some blogs that just talked about creativity and art, and I started following some of my favorite designers, and rather than looking at their work and being intimidated, I would just soak up all the creativity, and it just fueled me. So that's what I needed, but everybody's different. You just have to make sure you have some kind of passion, some kind of perspective that you're bringing to the job that gives you joy so that you can give. You have to have a belief or a purpose or a perspective, and you don't have to have it today. You don't have to sit down and be able to figure it out right now, but be on the lookout for it. Just this past Sunday, Pastor Shane Brooks at the Bridge Granbury, he was talking about winning. And it's kind of along this line. He was saying that so many of us don't look for the wins. We don't acknowledge the wins. And he was saying, first you have to define, what is a win for you? What does a really successful client relationship mean to you? I know we all want a beautiful portfolio photo. We all want a job to be profitable. We all want referrals. Those are kind of givens. You have to have a deeper motivation. What do you want for the client? Why do you do this? There's so many other jobs you could be doing. What is it about this job? So define, what does a win look like for you? And then be willing to recognize it when it happens. Many years ago, I had a couple that I designed a kitchen for, and in there, they sent me a referral and a really nice letter, and in it, they said, I have never enjoyed being in my kitchen more than I do now. That was a win. That was a major win. Was it the biggest job I ever had done? Not by a long shot. Was it the most profitable? Not by a long shot. But getting that letter from that client meant the world to me. So that was a win. So you have to celebrate those, and that will help you figure out what you're passionate about. So I mentioned, as a young designer starting out, you don't always get the opportunity to inject yourself that much into the project. Eventually you will, because that passion becomes that attraction that brings the right people to you, and you'll get the referrals that are meaningful. So just develop that in yourself. But I think I may have even mentioned this in a previous video, but I love this quote from Tom Kitchen. He's a chef, a Scottish chef, and he was teaching he was mentoring a young culinary student who thought they knew more than they did and were trying to rewrite all the rules, and they weren't even out of school yet. And here they were in a kitchen with one of the top chefs in the world, and not really listening or following his lead. And he looked at him and he said, learn gastronomy before you try to change gastronomy. So as a young designer, you're just learning, you're just soaking it up, you're just taking it in. But there in the background, humming, is your passion, your philosophy, and develop that, fuel it, feed it. So what is it for me? I'll just give you an example of mine. It took me so long to figure this out. There were little snippets, and I saw it in my work, and I saw it in the way I related to clients, but it took me a while to define it. For me, I believe that when we are healthy, when we are physically and mentally healthy, when our home is healthy, it's organized, it's inspired, it fuels us, it comforts us, it engages us, it's easy, it's inclusive. So other people who may have physical or mental challenges don't feel less than, they don't feel handicapped. That means the home is feeding us, it's nurturing us, it's feeding our memories, it's feeding our family get-togethers, it's feeding our relationships, because that's where all of this is happening. And when our planet, when what we're doing is respectful and honoring of our planet, where we're not doing any harm, where we're respecting the quality and the detail, and we're respecting how those materials are sourced, when all of those things are healthy, then we show up as our best selves. I believe we are uniquely and magnificently made as individuals. And I think we sell ourselves short because we don't eat right. We're not getting enough sleep. We're not exercising. Our minds and our bodies are out of whack because of all the yuck we put in our food. We're uninspired by our homes. We don't prioritize the spaces that we live in. So we're kind of, they're dreary, they're drab, they're hand-me-downs. We don't like them, but we put up with them. And then if we know just instinctively down in our gut, you know, that we're putting all kinds of toxins and trash and stuff into the world, whether we say we believe it or not, it affects us. When we show up as our best selves, all of a sudden, all of our talent, our creativity, our uniqueness, all of the beauty, all of the relationships and the connection, the things that really matter in the world happen in those spaces. And you as a designer get to be a part of that. So find what your passion is, find what fuels you, find what lights you up, and be intentional about making that connection. Be intentional about making sure that that shows up in your day-to-day and how you work and how you relate. And that can be said of so many things, not just design. But I hope that after watching this, you'll begin to think about what fuels me and how can I bring that to the work that I do in a way that matters to me. So thank you so much, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And if you have anything else that you would like to talk about as we get this channel going, I would love to hear about it. And again, this is young designers, established designers, homeowners that are passionate about design. We get together and talk and share and collaborate, and I think that's amazing. Heads up, right now I'm recording this in my design studio. I have a small boutique design studio with kitchen, bath, and home in Granbury, Texas, which is just outside of Dallas-Fort Worth. But in the very near future, I hope to connect with some area designers who are just doing beautiful work, and their design decisions and their design influences are being impacted by what they're passionate about and what they're seeing, and innovative designs and creative details that are led and they work with their clients and they're producing these amazing projects. My goal is that we'll be able to broadcast from some of these job sites, from these completed projects, so we can talk about these beautiful creative design details. So if you are a designer, if you design kitchens and baths and you have a project that you've recently completed that has some beautiful details and the homeowner wouldn't mind us coming in and broadcasting from that site, I would love to talk to you. So reach out to me. Again, I'm Shylo Preston. I'm with Kitchen, Bath, and Home, and here's to fueling your passion and bringing that to your own design work. Bye for now.